Hello, everyone. My name is Rocky Singh. I'm SAP CTO and an IBM Distinguished Engineer. So delighted to have this session today where IBM and Microsoft have been working together to help our clients in their business and technology transformation needs through our combined strengths of both of the companies. We are excited to share our experience and learnings about moving SAP workload to Microsoft Azure Cloud. Joining me today is Sachin Ghorpade, Principal Architect, SAP on Azure at Microsoft, and Anand Shetty, Enterprise Architect, SAP Technology Consulting at IBM. What we want to go over is the IBM Rapid Discovery for SAP on Azure workload. The offering itself is a customizable offering designed to meet the needs of clients thinking of moving their SAP workload to Azure. One of the questions which always come up in terms of whenever a client is looking to move an existing workload or put a new SAP workload on Azure is that there are a lot of questions around it in terms of, how they want to go about it, what should be they looking for it, how should they deliver it, and when should they start? What is the right time to start? Is it with, S/4HANA transformation program, or is it lift and shift, or is it some other a trigger which they can use as an opportunity to move SAP workload to a public cloud like Azure. This rapid discovery is designed essentially to bring IBM, Microsoft, and customer together in terms of looking at their requirements, looking at their opportunities, pain points, to essentially enable them to a future cloud platform where SAP and the ecosystem applications run on Azure. Why I feel this is very important for clients and often might get not looked at, or it doesn't become a priority, but based upon our collective experience from Microsoft and IBM, we feel that it's an important thing a client should consider when they're embarking for their journey of moving enterprise workload like SAP on Azure. As you all know that, there are a lot of companies who are thinking of moving their workload. There are a lot of companies who have already moved their workload, and the foundation and the architecture in terms of how it should be done is critical. But before we even get to the how piece, obviously there are questions in terms of whether if you need a business case, why you should move your workload to Azure, and what does the future state look like? It is never lift and shift, because the cloud platform is very different than on-prem in terms of capabilities, in terms of services. So the future state is important, and that's something we address as part of our rapid discovery. And then, the important piece is how do you do that? Obviously, there's a lot of technologies, there's a lot of methodologies, there's a lot of way to go about it. And this is where we also kind of cover how do you get to, standing up a future state architecture on a cloud for something like SAP, which is mission critical in terms of building a highly available, scalable, and a secure platform. So those are essentially the things we will cover as part of our rapid discovery. What we bring to the table here is that this is a proven and repeatable approach, which we have done for hundreds of our clients who are embarking on their journey on cloud, on Azure and public cloud. Obviously, we have concluded there are, I would say, common set of success factors, which is essential to be looked at and incorporated as part of journey to cloud, and that's what we bring in as part of our methodology. And there are a lot of things we cover as part of the success factor, which is obviously outside of the technical stuff, the governance, the target operating model, what is the how do we keep it simple and not complicated, and make sure that we don't incur the same technical debt, which often clients have been accumulating in their on-prem model. And then obviously we can get down into technical stuff is you can combine opportunities of, removing redundant code, removing inefficient integrations, and etc. A lot more stuff can be covered there. So in terms of what the approach is, how do we, what is our rapid discovery approach? Essentially, I would say it's kind of 4 phases. The first phase is the prepare phase, which we do upfront without really getting involved in a workshop. So we want to make sure we maximize, everybody's time, especially the client's time. So we will start with a set of questionnaires, which will essentially gather all the information in terms of what the current landscape looks like, what are the integrations, what is the ecosystem, and also gather information through questionnaires in terms of what are the pain points, what are some of the aspirations of standing in the future state architecture, and then kind of use that data and insights to shape and make it very tailored workshops. And then we start with workshops. First, we'll kind of cover the SAP workshop, which is primarily focused on, from an SAP application perspective, what are the business drivers? What is the tech IT drivers, be it application, database, network, and then the whole integration aspect of it in terms of SAP integrating with on-prem, SAP integrating with other cloud or SaaS applications, including SAP Business Technology Platform. And then this is where we also want to go over, some of the pain points or gaps which exist and which, client strongly feels that we should be leveraging capabilities and services available on the Azure platform to address those things, which will essentially, bring again, agility, innovation, and new capabilities, which will have direct impact to business. And then in terms of Azure high-level discovery, this is more in terms of the Azure platform itself. We go over again the information gathered through questionnaire in terms of what the priorities are, what is the Azure landing zone, security in terms of what are the security patterns, what should be incorporated as for something like SAP application, and then look at also the data centers, the availability zones, and any requirements around SLAs and archiving, etc. And then obviously the last thing is this is where everything comes together in terms of options, recommendations, where it's going to be, think of this as like the blueprint in terms of what are the building plots, what is the priorities, and in many cases, this will come up with a logical architecture, which obviously will be a big jumpstart to come up with the right physical architecture, which can also be looked at and come up with pricing estimations working closely with Microsoft. And then, as I said, the key things is that there are a lot of things which you get incorporated as part of innovation capabilities, which only exists in a platform like Azure. So make sure that we are building something which is future-proof for the benefit of client. And then the next one I want to cover in terms of what the typical timeline looks like. So, we call it rapid for a reason. This is not something which takes several months. Typically, the timeline is about 4 to 5 weeks. Again, depending on the complexity, and as mentioned, that this is very customizable, so we can obviously tailor to clients' need. And some of them might be already ahead of it. Some might have some other priorities. So this is something which can be always tailored to client's requirement. But essentially what we do is, and our rapid discovery is much broader than technology. It's from an IBM perspective, it really has a lot of business focus, and you will see that we have the key ingredients are 6 work stream, and these are mostly business driven work stream in terms of enterprise process model, capabilities, governance, implementation, business value, and executive alignment. What we do in the technology side falls under enterprise architecture, and that's something which runs in parallel with if there is a business rapid discovery work going on. And what I'm showing here is typical 4 or 5 weeks engagement where we bring our questionnaires, bring our assets, accelerators, insights. Week 1, we do the preparation, and then we directly dive into workshops and start looking at the details and coming up with options and recommendations. And then the last week, we just kind of do the analysis and do a readout. And then there is, again, think of this as a phase 0. So obviously, when you start the implementation, this is something which comes very handy and also gives you confidence that moving forward, you won't run into a challenge which will make you think that this is something you should have done. And it's a lot more impactful when you try to manage changes during the implementation phase versus doing a full-blown blueprint for the success of the program. So I will hand it over to Sachin Ghorpade from Microsoft to go over, as part of rapid discovery, what are the key business drivers we look into, and how do we go about it? Sachin?
Thank you, Rocky. You explained the rapid discovery process very well. Now let me take a look and talk about the business aspect here. The very first and most important step for the customer's cloud journey is to evaluate the key business drivers. What are customers' business requirements, priorities, and aspirations are the key aspect to learn in this phase. IBM and Microsoft together through rapid discovery process can help accelerate the business requirement mapping to the technical essentials. Now let's take a look into this diagram here and try to double click that what I mean by that. Now, when you are a customer first trying to move your SAP estate to Azure, you as an SAP tenant in Azure first migrate or install a new S/4HANA system. A rapid discovery process translate this business requirement into a core technical component, and those technical components can be categorized as maybe, hey, I need compute, I need storage, I need security, I need networking, right? And that's kind of the basic requirement that comes down together. Now, but once your core system is set up, it's secure, right? The next step comes is that along with the core SAP system, you also have a business requirement of scalability, flexibility, availability on demand. And this is where the power of cloud scale helps you. Now, security is always at the center of everything. All your organizational policies, requirements like single sign-on or MFA, multi-factor authentications, are covered with security first. Operational efficiency and cost optimization is what we all aspire to, right? Look, tools like automated self-healing and installation saves you ton, not only in the terms of cost, but also in terms of time as well. And of course, no SAP system works in silos. It needs friends. I mean, friends meaning SAP or non-SAP systems to get integrated with to really complete the end-to-end business process, right? You can connect your on-premises system, your SAP BTP system, or maybe your non-SAP systems with very easy plug-and-play integration options offered in Azure out of the box. Azure DevOps and IBM Hybrid Agile helps to meet your agility and DevOps need. Now, for your data and analytics requirement, you can leverage variety of options like Azure Data Lake, Power BI, or even IBM's cost visibility and analytics that ensures you have required data at your fingertip to make the meaningful decisions. Finally, extend and innovate. You have tools like ACSS, Azure Center for SAP Solutions, and Azure Technology Choices that can help you really extend the power of your SAP system to your end user and help your organization to innovate further. So in overall, rapid discovery is a great process to translate your business drivers to a technological level. So this is what I had to share with you from the business side. Now let me invite Anand to take you further and talk further about from the technological side of the house through his. Anand?
Great. Thanks, Sachin. So now that Sachin walked you through how important it is to account for the key business drivers before a move to the cloud, the choices that we make on Azure must enable the technology teams to meet these very business expectations. So whether it involves a migration of your existing SAP workloads to Azure, or it can be new implementation, such as a greenfield S/4HANA. The approach we follow here with the rapid discovery program is to involve all your key stakeholders from the client's technology teams to discover and understand the core tenets of your existing enterprise architecture. So that may include exploring and discovering your current infrastructure, your networking setup, the integration with SAP, non-SAP, and any other cloud applications, typically the hybrid cloud nature of the applications. And also like deep diving into your analytics portfolio. You might be running a lot of SAP analytics products, or you might have deep integrations with a lot of SaaS providers. So with Azure in the core, like center of your infrastructure spectrum, we need to not only take a look at all these main areas within the SAP, but dive deep into the infrastructure components as well, like exploring the storage solutions. Also like, understanding the operational practices that you have been following. And from a security point of view, you need to look at the application, the database, and your edge security, especially when having these workloads communicate with a lot of cloud SaaS applications. And finally, the user experience, because we all know that with the latest SAP releases, a lot of push has been made towards having tightly integrated user interface strategies. So the cloud should also be able to support that kind of end user integration or else the user experience for your end users. So when we design the target SAP infrastructure on Azure, so we also will consider your current IT standards that you've been following. At the same time, the new ways of doing things on Azure is discussed, and you are made aware that the existing IT processes might have to be adapted to leverage all these efficiencies that are inherent on Azure. So again, right, based on the nature of the transformation initiative, IBM will work with the client's technology teams in two distinct areas. As Rocky mentioned, we have an SAP landscape strategy area and an Azure infrastructure area. So we gather information on your current technology landscapes and also evaluate your future roadmaps. So during these workshops, IBM, along with Microsoft, will educate the client on the various possibilities that exist on Azure today. And we also brainstorm on the final decisions, which should be reflective of the business expectations that you have made with your various business work streams. So the SAP requirements around the integration, right? For example, like these days we are seeing a lot of SAP business transformation platform technologies being used. So we also ensure that we cover the Azure related artifacts around how to integrate the various business technology platforms on Azure itself. So finally, we deep dive into the actual Azure pieces where we discover your current hosting setup, then gradually transition into the landing zone requirements, which is one of the foundational pieces when designing a robust architecture on Azure. Then we go into looking into your network and security related topics that are integral for supporting hybrid cloud environments. Then we also help you understand the power of using the latest technologies that Azure has been, or Microsoft has been developing in the recent past with the Azure Center for SAP Solutions, the Azure Monitor, which will definitely improve the way your operations can be run in a much more efficient fashion. And finally, the final phase of this Rapid Discover program culminates with a solution recommendation phase. So outcome of these various discovery workshops will provide recommendations on the Azure infrastructure and the methodology and the processes that must be followed to deploy, configure, and even integrate the SAP workloads on Azure and maybe with other clouds in a multi-cloud environment. So these two parallel work streams that we just discussed, the SAP landscape and Azure, the various teams will collaborate on the various topics that cover the entire SAP landscape strategy for your future application footprint. And we bake everything together to come up with recommendations around high availability and disaster recovery, not only just for the solutions that are on Azure, but for your applications around the Azure core, meaning it may be SAP business technology platforms. So there should be a very close mapping done between the technologies hosted on different clouds. And as Sachin suggested, we use our partnership with Microsoft and IBM and the Microsoft teams will closely collaborate in validating the solutions that we will be recommending to the clients before we present it in its final version. Even the pricing for various different technology options, which might be of very keen interest to the various business stakeholders at the client side, will be discussed. So we come up with a pricing estimates for the different technology options that might be of interest to the client, which definitely helps us speeding the transition process. So as we all now understand that this rapid discovery program, what IBM and Microsoft are offering is tailor-made to provide a complete blueprint for you to kickstart your transformational activities. So now you don't have to spend weeks or months together in order to evaluate what options you want to be choosing when you move to Azure. But you have the IBM and Microsoft working together collaboratively to help you in this pursuit. So with this, I thank you for your time today. And for more information on the IBM solutions, please visit IBM in the featured partner showcase. Thank you.